when you speak about the post-Gupta era, we're talking about you can say the 5th century and the last leg of 5th century, in fact, where the Gupta Empire was completely broken down, and there was no other empire that could take the place of the vastness or of the the grandeur of the Gupta Empire. And we have to understand this was the time when Patliputra became a very important city, and Patliputra had seen a lot of people coming and ruling the city, but then now there was no single power. In fact, there were a lot of rulers who developed their own empires and developed their own particular name, particular fame in the city. Now, some of them that we will just take as the name. That's it. Just let's not go into the details. For example, you have the mockeries. Okay, don't no need to write down the detail. Just one of the names is the mockeries, right? So the mockeries are another significant, you can say, an empire that came in the Bangladesh. And then you have the Maitrakas. Just make a note of these names. You have the Maitrakas, and then you have the Gaudas. Okay, so these are different ones, and please don't get confused with Gaudas and Gaudas in Karnataka, because these are two different names. These Gaudas come from particular region of Bengal, and Gaudas are hailing from Karnataka, right? So the Gaudas there, and then of course we spoke about Hunas in the previous class. We spoke about the decline of the Gupta Empire and the role played by Hunas. So these were the ruling dynasties of North India, but one dynasty emerged to be very significant and the most important one, and that was the okay, the name was Pushya Bhutis. Okay, this was a very significant empire, and they had some great rulers. But one ruler that stood apart and made this empire very popular was Harshavardhana. Okay, Harshavardhana was immensely popular. Now we have to understand that. Please make a note of these points. Write about Pushyabhutis in your capital letters, because this is a very significant empire we are going to talk about. Their capital was Thaneshwar. Their capital was Thaneshwar, and Harshavardhana's father, Prabhakara Vardhana, laid the foundation of this empire.
Sir,
Prabhakara
it was
Vardhana.
sir, it was Pushyap Bhuti only who was the founder of Vardhana dynasty, and this Prabhakar Vardhana was like a successor of him only. Like they have 2 to 3 successors, and then your this Prabhakar, like whatever Vardhana, his father comes.
Yeah. And that's why I'm telling you that he laid the foundation of this empire. Okay, because you can say the founder would be different, because there are two different things, right? Laying the foundation is different, and founding the empire itself is different, right? So I'll come to that. You can make a note of this. Prabhakara Vardhana laid the foundation of this empire, and Harshavardhana belonged to this particular family. All right. So we have to understand that Harshavardhana gave a very good name to this empire, and the way he rose to power in this particular empire is also very significant. It's something we have to note it significantly, and the way he ruled and the way he expanded his empire in comparison to all the other small empires in that region is something vital, or is something different that we come across. We have to understand that Prabhakara Vardhana was a very prominent ruler. He was very good in his administration as well as in military. But Prabhakara Vardhana died, and he was succeeded by his elder son, that is the elder brother of Harshavardhana. But due to several internal politics and due to several internal problems, Harshavardhana's elder brother was also murdered by the allies and those people surrounding this particular region. As a result, in such circumstances, Harshavardhana came to power, and Harshavardhana assumed the throne, and you can say, he also laid a very firm foundation for this empire, and he started to rule the empire in a very significant manner. Okay, so you can write down some important facts about Harshavardhana. I'll just dictate that. Harshavardhana was known for his military campaigns. Harshavardhana was known for his military campaigns, and he captured important regions. He captured important regions. So if you see this picture, this would be the empire of Harshavardhana, the one green in color. He captured important regions of eastern India. Then you can write down, Harshavardhana shifted his capital from Thaneshwar to Kannauj. If you see this, you'll find out that this is Thaneshwar, and he shifted his capital to Kannauj. Initially, when the empire was found, the capital was Thaneshwar. Okay, he shifted his capital from Thaneshwar to Kannauj. Then you can write down, he ruled his empire based on the administration of Guptas, but it was more feudal and decentralized in nature. It was more feudal and decentralized in nature. Then you can talk about he was primarily a Hindu. But was tolerant towards other religions. In the later stages of his life, he became a great patron of Buddhism. Okay. Then you can talk about he gave land grants. To priests of both Hinduism and Buddhism. He gave land grants to both Hinduism and Buddhism. Okay, this is one point. And next point you can write. The popular Chinese pilgrim or traveler, Huan Sang visited India during his time. Okay, this is the artistic impression of how Harshavardhana looked like, but there is no painting as such of how he actually looked like. Okay, so you can write down next important point. He convened a grand assembly. Of Buddhism at Kannauj. He convened a grand assembly of Buddhism at Kannauj. which is said to have been attended by, which is said to have been attended by several kings, monks, and scholars. Several kings, monks, and scholars. Yuan Sang also visited this assembly. Yuan Sang also visited this assembly. The major topic of the discussion here was Mahayana Buddhism. The major topic of discussion here was Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, so this was the first assembly that he convened, which was held at Kanauj. Right on the second one, he convened another assembly at Prayag. He convened another assembly at Prayag. Prayag is just present-day Allahabad. And the assembly went on for 75 days. And the assembly went on for 75 days. Good amount of philanthropy was done in this assembly. Good amount of philanthropy was done in this assembly. As valuable articles and clothing were distributed.
So do you mind repeating the sentence?
Yeah. Good amount of philanthropy was done in this assembly. Good amount of philanthropy was done in this assembly. And valuable articles, as valuable articles and clothing were distributed. Okay, now we have to understand that we have several sources that talk about these two assemblies. But if you believe the work of Yuan Sang says that after this assembly, Harshavardhana became a monk because he gave everything in the royal treasury, and this was the last phase of his life, and he became a monk after this. But we are not precisely sure because no native writer speaks about that. But anyway, we have to note about his love towards literature. Please write down. He himself wrote 3 dramas or plays. He himself wrote 3 dramas or plays. Namely, the first one would be Ratnavali. Ratnavali is the first one. Second one would be Nagananda, Naga, Nagananda. And the third one would be Priyadarshika. These are the 3 things, these are the 3 plays or the dramas that Harshavardhana himself wrote. So predominantly he was himself a playwright, that could be understood. And then you can mention about Bana Bhatta. In Hindi, he's called as Ban Bhatt. In Kannada, he's called as Bana Bhatta, however you would want to call it. He was also a great scholar in the court of Harshavardhana. He wrote works like Parvati. It is also called as Parvati Parinay in several records. Then he wrote Harsha Charita, which was the so-called biography of Harshavardhana himself. or Harshavardhana's character. And then he also wrote Kadambari. Okay. And then we have to note about other two important scholars, namely Haridatta and Jayasena.